Hello everyone, this is Tetrafolium here to cover round 2 of Swiss ADV Revival 3. The gamers today are Kerts and MCJD931. Kerts, I believe, is credited with making a couple of the sample teams, notably V5, if you're familiar with that. MCJD931, don't know much about them, but we're about to find out. Alright, lead, Zapdos versus Tyranitar. Tyranitar favored. Gonna go for Focus Punch, predicting a switch, and hits the Swampert with a critical hit. That's a lot of damage. Gonna see a switch to Celebi as an Earthquake comes in. Another crit. Kerts just cannot stop critting with this one. Takes a Giga Drain for a pretty decent amount of damage in order to get an HP bug to just kill the Celebi off right there. In comes MCJD's Tyranitar, going to go for Earthquake, not going to get the kill, taking an Earthquake back for a pretty solid amount. Earthquakes again on a switch to Skarmory. Skarmory might be getting some layers here. Goes for Spikes on a DD. Could be bad. Oh, goes for another DD. Is going to get roared? Yeah. Ooh. I don't know if I love that. Generally, you want to go for a Rock Slide there and hope you get a flinch, but it seems that was not the play. Toxic comes down, missing the Jolteon, and Jolteon gets paralysis, and Zapdos misses another Toxic. This is going all wrong kind of ways, and a critical hit. Oh my gosh. I don't know what you do when you start a game like this. This is actually looking like Jolteon Spikes, which I believe is another sample team that Kerts is credited with making. Goes for Double Edge to get some damage on the Swampert. Could be nice if there's an Aerodactyl in the back. It could be an Aerobee team. Gets down a Spike. That's good to have. I mean, we're at turn 14, down to the last 3 Pokemon. Swampert's probably dead on the next turn. So I don't know if one Spike is necessarily going to get there. But if there's an arrow, there's a way. And here comes the Aerodactyl. Has to get a speed tie against this Jolteon. Oh, okay. Kerts is going to opt to sack the Tyranitar off to get Gengar in. Gengar should live a Rock Slide. No flinch, no crit. But Aerodactyl survives the Thunderbolt. Cleans up the Gengar. Here comes the Swampert. Not super healthy, but 50% should be able to take a Rock Slide pretty nicely. Does not get the flinch. Yeah, and that's going to be kind of it. Okay, Hydro Pump misses, evening out the odds there, if only for a little bit. It seems like MC is going to just spike down and accept that this was a lost game. Yeah, hard to really make much commentary about the player decisions here. I do think that it was not the best play to go for a second Dragon Dance in front of the Skarmory, but with all of the hacks that has happened this game, it's really hard to comment too much because, man, everything was going wrong there. All right, we're on to game 2. Let's pray for some better luck for our competitor MCJD right here. But before we get into this, I want to remind you all that you should subscribe to Revival Tournaments if you like this kind of tournament coverage, and if you can, donate as well to the prize pool. It's going to incentivize more players to want to keep playing in these types of tournaments. Lead Swampert versus lead Tyranitar. Swampert favored for sure, but we're actually going to see a switch to Fortress. Okay, catching an HP Grass. In fact, maybe Swampert not favored at all. Fire Blast coming down onto a Tyranitar switch. This is looking like Guac Tar, also known as Mixed Tar. But Kerts' Tyranitar is going to go for Brick Break. Perhaps Pursuit Tar with the Fortress revealed. Fortress can come in on Flygon, going for a Toxic. Kerts is not respecting the possibility of a Fire-type move from the Flygon there. But, I mean, that's okay. It doesn't carry it all the time. Thunderbolt coming down on the Skarm switch. MCJD looking like they're playing Superman. I'm expecting to see something like Zapdos. You could do a lot in the last slide. It could be Gengar, it could be maybe Moltres, maybe Aerodactyl. Fortress is a little bit favored in this Skarmory matchup here, especially if this Skarmory does not have Drill Peck to hit the Fortress. Not like Fortress is going to do much damage to the Skarmory, but Rapid Spin has a lot more PP than Spikes does, so Fortress can just stay in and click Spikes forever until the Spin Blocker Gengar reaches the field and gets a nice Will-O-Wisp off on the Tyranitar. Now, most likely this is Pursuit Tyranitar, and Kerts is going to catch the Gengar switching out for not a lot of damage. I'm wondering if this is like an extra bulky Gengar, or perhaps Kerts is not running max special attack. Misses a Fire Blast on a Roar turn. Not great. Swampert not exactly what you want to see either from the Roar switch in, but we do see Gengar coming in, threatening the Skarmory out. Skarmory's going to go for Protect on a switch to Salamence. Is this Mixments? Yes, it is. Goes for Fire Blast, hits the Flygon for not very much, but Dragon Claw is quite scary here. Flygon's just going to Protect, Scout, get some chip healing. Flygon might live, but rather than risk it, let's go to Jirachi here. Makes sense. Jirachi should be taking a lot from a Fire Blast, though. Goes for Wish on the switch. That's pretty good. And he's going to get in Tyranitar, who's going to eat a Wisp in kind. So now both Tyranitars are burned. We'll see if this is a Pursuit Tar from JD. It is. Interesting. I haven't used a lot of Pursuit Tar on Superman. It kind of makes sense because Gengar's tough, but you also usually don't have a spinner, so it's not necessary for that reason. But cool tech, and it's working out here, as Flygon is going to opt to Chip Heal on this Blissey. Now into Jirachi on Blissey Calm Mind. Jirachi should live a +1 Thunderbolt from this range. Goes for Toxic. Oh yeah, it takes it very easily, except it gets paralyzed. Jeez. MC cannot catch a break here. Goes for Wish. Wish floating is going to be nice for the Jirachi if it doesn't get full parried here. Instead, we're going to see a switch to Salamence on a Protect turn. And this is going to get Jirachi back up to about 72%. Fire Blast is going to crit and KO. That might have mattered. Probably did if it's standard specially defensive Jirachi. That's not good. Blissey will come in, take a Toxic from the Zapdos. Soft-boiled up and gets roared out. Alright, so not very much progress made there, but I mean, stops that Blissey from running away with the game here. Blissey's going to come right back in, take a Toxic. I don't know if this is the loop necessarily that will favor MCJD here. Zapdos takes an Ice Beam for admittedly not that much. This is looking to be like a specially defensive Rest Zapdos. Oh, gets a critical hit on the Blissey. That's awesome. Well, not so awesome for Kerts, but that's the justice that we need to turn the set around, right? Ooh, Gengar switching in, catching the Swampert. If it has Giga Drain, it's threatening a lot here. Oh, Kerts is just going to surf in the face of a potential Giga Drain. Perhaps Kerts is confident that the Gengar does not have a Grass move. Or maybe Kerts thought that Skarmory was switching. Or maybe he was just trying to sack the Swampert. We will never know. Protect coming down, getting some HP for the Skarmory in the face of Gengar, but going to have to switch this turn, I would think. And we do find Tyranitar, who might live the next hit here. We'll have to see. No, a critical hit. Oh, man. That's going to be brutal because Ice Punch coming down on Zapdos. Going to force Zapdos to have to rest here. But I don't know if you can rest in the face of Salamence. We're going to see a switch to Flygon on the Dragon Claw, and it just dies immediately. Okay. Is that defensive Flygon? Might not be. I expected Flygon to take a little less from that, but I don't know. Gengar is going to opt to get a Will-O-Wisp on the Swampert. I don't know how consequential that's going to be. Maybe Destiny Bond would have helped a little more. Maybe it depends on the Zapdos, but if it's Rest here, last move, as I was predicting, you do not have a move to hit this Swampert all that well. You definitely don't have a move to hit a Burn Swampert, because Toxic obviously not going to stack with the Burn. And Kerts is going to opt to just Ice Beam down on the Zapdos. I mean, it's not unlikely to get a crit here if Zapdos just has to continually Rest Loop. Gonna find a Forretress. Didn't know if I wanted to say Fori or Forretress, sorry if that sounded weird. On the Rest turn, going to spin the hazards away. Yep. And Skarmory can reset them if it so chooses, but not that it's gonna be that consequential for the rest of this game. Salamence is just going to come in, threaten a massive Fire Blast. I don't know how many Fire Blasts are left on this Mence. Looks like 5. Zapdos going to come in and use up 2 of those, so we have 3 maximum for Salamence. But we're going to pivot to using Dragon Claw, which is doing just about as much damage as Fire Blast, which makes sense, the stab boost. Offsetting the base power difference. But Salamence is going to just kill the Zapdos here. MCJD is actually going to switch to Skarmory. Maybe playing to run out all of the Fire Blasts here. So that's another one used. We're down to 2. If Zapdos switches in on Fire Blast, they're all used up. Skarmory's actually going to stay in, get a Spike down on a Fire Blast miss. Protects. As Kerts is going for Dragon Claw, trying to save that Fire Blast PP. And we see a switch to Zapdos, using up the last Fire Blast. Skarmory in. Should be able to wall the Salamence more or less, but Dragon Claw is still going to outpace the Leftovers healing, even with a Protect. So I don't know how MCJD could win this game from this position. You have Toxic? No, goes for another Spike. For what reason? We cannot ascertain. A Drill Peck coming down with a critical hit. See, that would have been nice to have the previous turn. Protect. Yeah, I mean, this is simply just going to be a Skarm beatdown angle to end this game. Skarm could have had a little bit more HP if we had another Drill Peck come down instead of that 4th layer of spikes. But I would think that one of Tyranitar or Swampert could finish this off. Fortress is going to come in and just spend basically the rest of its rapid spins to end this game, and I think we know where this is kind of going here. Although the Skarmory does have Drill Peck, it could have been doing that way earlier in the game to try to force some damage on this Fortress. Goes for an Explosion, doesn't quite kill the Skarmory, but this is like crunch range, I would think, even for this Tyranitar. And yeah, Skarmory's going to get the 13%. Doesn't live the crunch, and that's game. Interesting set here. I don't know if this is a sample team from Kerts with the lead Swampert here. It does look kind of familiar, like a Fortress Gengar Spikes angle. Of course, Superman from MCJD, very common team structure. Good luck to MCJD in the future rounds. Kerts, you don't need any more luck. You used up all your luck, in fact, in round 2. And that will do it. Remember to subscribe for more tournament coverage, and please donate if you can.